Hey guys, JJ here, back with new details on the Resident Evil 4 Remake. These details include a shift in tone focused more on horror, bigger roles for the side characters, an expansion to Ada's campaign, potentially early 2022 reveal, and much more. So with that being said, let's get right into it.
Resident Evil 4.
Rumors of a Resident Evil 4 remake have been circulating the internet for over a year now. Today, Fanbyte released a ton of new information from their trusted sources, adding more credibility to this rumor. Before I get into these details, it should be noted that as of right now, none of this information has been confirmed by Capcom, and they have yet to officially announce a Resident Evil 4 remake is in development. Before we get into the new information, here's a quick recap of what we know so far. Resident Evil 4 Remake was originally being developed by M2, the same company in charge of the Resident Evil 3 remake, but due to poor reception, the project was brought back in-house to Capcom's Dev 1 team. Dev 1 is the same team that brought us Resident Evil 7, the Resident Evil 2 remake, and Resident Evil Village. Capcom has reached out to the original director of Resident Evil 4, Shinji Mikami, and asked if he was interested in working on the remake. While Shinji was intrigued, he inevitably declined due to his responsibilities at Tango Gameworks. Lastly, the remake will not be a strict scene-by-scene remake, but more of a reimagining similar to the Resident Evil 2 remake. Now, let's move on to the new information. With the remake, Capcom will be shifting to a darker, more horror-focused tone. Because of this, the Village section of the game, which originally took place during the day, will now take place at night, as will a larger portion of the game. Because of this darker tone, Resident Evil 4 Remake will now be taking direct inspiration from Resident Evil 3.5, the original version of the game. Resident Evil 3.5 featured Leon Kennedy investigating a castle and a zeppelin. In this version of RE4, Leon would become infected by black smoke, which made him hallucinate and see dolls coming to life trying to kill him, along with other inanimate objects. He was also being stalked by an enemy known as the Hookman. How much inspiration is yet to be seen, but I find this information very interesting. This also isn't uncommon for Capcom. The Resident Evil 2 remake also took much more inspiration from the original version of the game known as Resident Evil 1.5. Next up, we have changes to the story, including bigger roles for some of the side characters. Resident Evil 4 featured many characters Leon would run into during his mission, one of these characters being Louis Serra, who unfortunately met his demise relatively early on in the game. Another great character that was taken from us too soon was the heroic helicopter pilot, Mike. Seeing an expanded story for these characters would be fantastic. According to Fanbyte, Ada Wong's story is also getting a big overhaul and expansion. The focus is now to expand on Assignment Ada and separate ways and combine them into one package, creating a more fluid and polished addition to the game. This will give players a better idea of what Ada was up to while Leon Kennedy was searching for the president's daughter. A quick side piece of information: a few months ago, concept art of Albert Wesker leaked onto the internet. People quickly assumed this concept art was from the upcoming Resident Evil 4 remake. According to Fanbyte sources, this information was false. This concept art of Wesker was from another canceled Resident Evil project. Now, I'm gonna do some speculating here, but other sources have claimed that the upcoming Resident Evil Outrage was recently canceled. With that information, this concept art of Albert Wesker could have been from that game. And lastly, Capcom is hoping to announce the Resident Evil 4 remake early in 2022. Keep in mind that games undergo delays and various other issues. Resident Evil 4 is a massive game, so let's hope all is going well and we'll see a reveal soon, maybe at this year's E3. Honestly, this information has me excited. I personally feel that Resident Evil 4 still holds up, especially with the recent release of the HD project that has been in development for over 8 years, and it doesn't necessarily need a remake. However, I have said in the past that if Capcom adds a darker horror tone to the game, they don't cut content but reimagine it similar to what they did with the Resident Evil 2 remake, then I'm all for it. With all of this information, it sounds like that is exactly what's happening, and it's very reassuring, but I do still think Code Veronica is more deserving of a remake. But with all that being said, now I'm curious to know your thoughts. What do you think of the darker, more horror-toned focus? What do you think of elements from Resident Evil 3.5 being implemented into the Resident Evil 4 remake? What do you think of the side characters getting bigger roles? Are you excited that Ada is getting a big expansion? Let us know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and for all the latest Resident Evil 4 remake news, make sure to subscribe. The Residents of Evil is a Patreon-supported channel and also supported by our YouTube members. So if you'd like to become a member and unlock access to custom badges, emojis, and exclusive live streams, click that join button down below. You can join our ever-growing survival horror community on Discord. Link is down below in the description. And I have the Duke here at the Residence of Evil to tell you a little about our sponsor, G Fuel.
Do you have need of anything for the road ahead? The Residence of Evil has expanded its services. Perhaps you're in need of a little pick-me-up. I recommend the G Fuel. You can even get a fair discount if you use the code ROE upon purchase. And as always, we thank you for your patronage, stranger.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you back at the Residence of Evil.
Everyone is welcome here at the Residence of Evil. Strangers, strangers, one at a time. Come back anytime.